Okay, but did you stop and say, hey, it's me?
No, it's so funny because I hadn't seen them in years. Like, they didn't recognize me. They were like, "You are glowing. What's your secret?" And I said, "Honey, I'm healing."
Welcome back, everyone, to Honey, I'm Healing. This is Irina.
And this is Renee.
And today we are doing our book review on Remarkably Bright Creatures. Okay.
This was so good.
I'm so glad you said that. I was so hesitant to hear your reaction after the text I sent you about where's this going? What's going on here? Wow.
Why don't you tell everyone what the book is about, and then,
Okay.
Yeah, go from there.
So basically, this book is a story about a 70-year-old woman who works as a cleaner at an aquarium, and she gets to see a giant Pacific octopus every day, and little by little discovers his secrets. He's very, very, very smart, and we get to see multiple perspectives and point of views from other characters who help solve the mystery of her son who had died 30 years prior. This book is also about a 30-year-old man who is in search of his family and takes a trip up the Pacific coast, and you get to literally feel the environment that this book is written in. And anyways, it's super good. You should read it. It's my synopsis. I didn't look it up. I didn't find one online, but I feel like you can't really give a synopsis of this. You just have to go into it, because then you find out what it is. It's super easy, I feel like, to connect the dots on your own before.
You killed that.
Thanks.
Okay, so yeah, the octopus's name is Marcel.
Yes.
Right?
Marcellus.
Yeah, Marcellus. I listened to the book, so I'm thinking of my name is Marcel and I live in a shell.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's a klepto. He is a kleptomaniac. He likes to steal things, and that's a huge subplot of the book. It's a huge underarching theme of that just carries on throughout the book, and I love how Shelby Van Pelt weaves that into the story and makes that such a key component of the story. Mm-hmm. It's one of the things that grounds it, and yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I figured I would, just because you and I have very similar tastes in books, and we had both put this on our TBR. Yep. But so good.
Did you know this was her first book?
She
incredible
needs to write another one yesterday. I need a follow-up to this. I need to know what happened after.
Yeah, so I guess if you're watching this video, then we can give our spoilers. I forgot. Don't watch this if you haven't read it, but if you're watching
pause
this,
it now and then come back and watch it.
There we go.
Yes.
So moving forward, we will be giving spoilers.
Yes.
No longer just a summary. I think this is one of those books, though, that ends so sweetly, you don't need any more.
It was just a really tender moment, Mm-hmm. It was, I didn't know really what I was getting into with this. I knew that it was it's like literary fiction, it's or contemporary fiction, I should say, but it's so good, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's funny because, and I know that we'll probably get into who we would cast as each character later, but I didn't see the characters the way that the book described them. Tova being Swedish, and that being a huge part of her. I didn't see her as this dainty little blonde woman. No.
Is that what you saw? Is what makes you think that she's
that's what the book describes her as, barely 5 foot. She's in her late 60s to early 70s, and she has a very small frame.
I did see
her
that.
as that at all. Yeah, I was like, what? I don't know.
I did see that. I don't remember it being written because I listened to it on audio, and I actually recommend to listen to it on audio. It is so good with the different accents and stuff. But I did read like the first 10 pages and the last 10, just to say I read it.
Just to sandwich it.
Yeah. So listening on audio, you do really get like a good feel for what the characters might look like. Mind you, though, when I read these books, I don't think of celebrities.
I
don't imagine.
It's the only, like, are you one of the people that reads the book and like sees it as a movie in your head? Or do you read the book and it's just words?
No, I imagine the characters,
Okay.
but they are characters I've never seen before in my life.
Okay.
They're made up.
Yeah. I think when I'm picking a character or like a movie star, it's like the person closest to what I imagined. I don't actually see movie stars, but it's like the person that like closest, I guess. But yeah, I love that they talked about Modesto, California, because I ship products to Modesto, California, and I was like, hey, I know that place.
Yeah, I used to live close by, and so when he was saying he was going to Sacramento Airport, I was like imagining him, being where I used to be. And then I loved that they included Seattle, Washington, and just that coast. I love. Like, that is a whole vibe. This book is one of those books like where the Crawdads Sing, where you can
Yes, I was thinking the same thing.
Imagine your environment. That's what I loved about it.
I was thinking it was a lot like Crawdads too, because there's a beautiful sense of poetic justice in this book. And it's so funny that you mentioned that, because I was reading it and was like, this very much feels the same for me. Not necessarily in the setting or the way that the author paints it, but just, that poetic justice.
Because of this guy right here.
Yeah.
She didn't make the octopus sound cringy. If anything, it sounded like an old soul, like an old Denzel Washington.
Is that whose voice you saw?
Wait. If that's who I don't really know my celebrities. Let me just
we might as well just jump in.
So, I think that's him. He plays like God in some certain movies, right?
Yeah. Oh, Morgan Freeman.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Morgan.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, this is why I don't know yes. I imagine Marcellus to be like Morgan Freeman. Like if it could be a person.
First of all, I imagined Marcellus as Scottish. That was initially, but then there was a Scottish character represent. I was like so excited that there was a Scottish character, because you know me. What is this guy's name? Paul Bettany. That was the name. So he plays, it's Bettany. He plays a character called Viz in the Marvel universe.
Okay, that's who you imagined as.
His voice sounds a lot like the audiobook, though.
For Ethan. No.
No. For Marcellus.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But maybe not the face.
No.
I think Marcellus is just like, he just seems like one of those characters that just like will just give you a big hug, and is just that tender vibe.
He kind of gives
like a teddy bear grandpa.
Oh, I was gonna say he kind of gives me like professor vibes with the like tweed coat and the elbow patches. That's that's what I see. He's very like very refined. Like he probably works at Oxford. That's kind of Marcellus that I'm. So he just chose the wrong ocean to live in. He needed to be in the Atlantic.
Well, they're not actually in the Atlantic Ocean. I did a whole bunch of research on octopuses after this. Did you?
On octopi?
Well, there's, you know what? And I looked that up. That's also a valid word for it. Octopuses and octopi, same thing. It's a real word. Because I said it earlier
Crazy.
to Matt. I said octopuses, and he goes, octopi?
Well, it's like, it's one of those things where like the plural of cul-de-sac is cul-de-sac.
I didn't know that.
It's not cul-de-sacs, it's cul-de-sac. So I kind of, or like, you know, I don't know. It's just kind of one of those things that I thought it was. But interesting. Octopuses.
Yes, I went and did like some research about them and just to find out about their intelligence because I didn't know that they were, I had no idea an octopus was very smart. And yeah, I went and read it. Did you know?
That they're wise or smart?
Like super intelligent. One of the, they are the smartest invertebrate.
That actually kind of terrifies me because they're already like very intimidating because they've got the 8 legs and the suction cups and very strong. And then on top of that, like they're fully aware of what they're doing. It's not like a shark where they're just like, duh, like they, you know, they're like, they're fully aware of what they're doing.
That leads me to believe if you find one in the ocean and they can sense that you're a very kind person, they'll be very kind back. Based on this book. Okay, I have some questions.
Okay.
Okay, so the book counters heavier topics with a lighter tone, leading to a range of emotions as you read. What emotions did it elicit in you? What's like the number one top emotion you felt reading this book?
Grief.
Really?
Yeah. I felt Tova's grief all throughout this book of like unexpectedly losing something, of not having answers and having people around you tiptoe around conversations about things. And then at the end, there being this really poetic justice. And then on Cameron's side, the grief of not knowing who his father is, the grief of, you know, having a mom that's absent, the grief of finding out that Simon isn't his dad. And there's just, yeah, that was the one that came up for me the most. What about you?
Well, did you cry
No.
reading this?
I rarely cry
Okay,
at books.
Me neither. I didn't cry in this one. Oh, I love to cry in books. But this one, and like a lot of the reviews I read where people were like, I bawled at the end. And surprisingly, I didn't. I felt like empathy, for, you know, for the very thing you just said. But I think what I felt the most was just like that. Well, I've never felt this, but like that impending feeling of losing your life for Marcellus. I felt that. I like, because it would count down the days. And I just felt like, man, to know the feeling of knowing like any minute is your last day. That I felt
That's
that
so
the
good.
heaviest. That was a new emotion to feel reading a book.
Yeah. Kind of like this ominous, like, presence. Interesting. How did you, like, how did that impact you? Or, like, how do you think that feeling that through this book will, like, impacts you from here on out? Or will it?
I don't know. I think it just really grew like a bigger empathy in me for animals.
Are you going to go vegan now?
No.
Pescatarian?
No, but
Or no, I
I
think
might
that's when people
think-
only eat fish.
Yeah. But I might like feel very differently if I ever eat calamari again.
You know what? I
Which
think
I
he would
love.
want you to enjoy it.
He would.
Yeah.
Because they're not giant Pacific octopus.
No. As long as you know, like, where it was caught, you're good.
I did not
Chomp
think that
down
would
on
go
a
there,
piece.
but
Marcellus, is that you?
no, but like I really will feel differently. Like it will every time I eat calamari from now on, I will think of Marcellus. And you will
That's
too,
special.
probably.
I will. You know, and this is one of those books too where it's one that's going to stick with you for a really long time. And I've been really fortunate to have read a lot of those kinds of books this year, because typically I don't really find a lot of those. I mean, here and there will be a couple things that stick with me, but for the most part, like, there was a lot in this book that really stuck with me, especially about, you know, his mom being an alcoholic.
Yeah,
And
I thought
like,
of you there.
yeah, I was just like, man, I so relate. And you know, just how that kind of manifested in Cameron's life, and how he was like a deadbeat kind of with jobs. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, she did so well with the character development. Each character like had their own thing that made them unique.
Yeah. Yeah, I
loved
really, I loved that. I love her writing style.
And I still can't believe it's her first book.
I know.
It's crazy. Okay, next question. At what point in the book did you know what Marcellus was trying to tell Tova, and were you surprised when it was finally revealed?
When he was like, how do they not know? Because he was saying like, something about this person seems familiar. So there were those little clues. And you know, I think she did a really good job of foreshadowing a lot just through things like that. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I think when he gave her the key is really, and that was before Cameron had come into the picture, actually. But I think that's when he started talking to her. But really, it was when he put that driver's license under the one spot he knows only she cleans. Like, what? Those were like little moments that gave me chills.
Yeah. The ring and then the mop bucket scene really got me. That one was so sweet when she just like, that's friendship. You know, jailbreaking an octopus to let it like die in the place where it wants to be in its natural habitat, and like,
Where her son also
yeah.
died.
Let's talk about
Yeah.
that for a minute. Like, that pier, or you know, that place was so hard for, like, there was such a rich grieving, like, deep history there, and she was able to release that and release Marcellus back into that, and saying like, this is no longer just going to be the place where, you know, my son died. It's going to be the place where I got
My
to
other
give.
one lives.
Yeah.
Did you you know, the first time Avery was telling Cameron the story about the woman she talked off the
Yeah.
ledge,
Oh,
did you think anything about the first time she said it, or did you think something more into it when she saw, like, right after she released the octopus and Avery came and saw Tova there on the pier? Then she told Tova the story. She's like, oh, you know, the lady was talking about a loud boom and how this
I knew
place was...
I knew it was Daphne from the first time that I heard it.
Okay, I didn't, but
Oh, okay.
then on the pier I was like, oh my gosh. Like,
Yeah,
just
no.
completely connects all the dots.
I really don't like Avery's son.
Oh, he's a teenage boy.
I know, but I was just like, ew.
But it's so real. Like, as fictional as this book is, it's one of those books where, like, oh, this could be real. This could totally happen. Because I really don't like those books that seem so far-fetched, where I'm like, that would never happen, you know? Because then I can't connect. But, like, this could happen.
Yeah. Like, Cameron running into the store and saying, I can't make our date. Please tell your mom, because there's this, you know, I'm going to
Yeah.
go meet my almost daddy. Like, you know, that's something that would really happen. And then him feeling rejected because she didn't reach out. And yeah, I think that dynamic was done really well. And the way that Shelby Van Pelt talks about, or like described his attraction to her, I thought that was so funny. and just their meet cute moment of, you know, her just not giving him the time of day. I was like, I love her already.
Yep. Yeah, she made it seem so real and relatable. Back to the question though, when Marcellus was talking about from his point of view of like genetics and how he can tell who's related, and when he said, I can see these two share the same genetics, that's when I knew, okay, I know where this story will go. Like, so it wasn't a surprise to me, but it was like a beautiful unfolding. So I didn't feel like it was ruined.
Yeah. I think that I knew once he gave the ring that said eels, because she had talked about her son's headstone and how it was like Eric something E. Lindgren Sullivan.
Oh, I didn't connect that.
Yeah. And that was
It's
like
when you
eels.
listen to it at 2 times speed, you kind of miss a thing here and there. What speed did you listen to it at?
I listened to it at 2, but I was in ADHD mode and I was hyper focused, and
You have faster connecting neurons, kind of like an octopus.
my brain just operates at 2 speed. So
Oh, that's
I
so
think
funny.
it's so funny because like when I was listening to it at 1 speed, because it would sometimes go back to that, I'm like, I'm living in slow motion.
Yeah, it was so slow. So slow. Okay, I have another one. Marcellus is endearing. Did he remind you of any human characters from other books? We talked about celebrities, but
He kind of reminds me of Robin Williams' character in Dead Poets Society. If you have never watched that movie,
I have a very long time ago, and I
it is one of my favorite movies. I was actually thinking about that the other day when Matt had asked me what my favorite movie was, and I said It's a Wonderful Life, but Dead Poets Society is definitely one of my favorites. Like you should rewatch because it's so good. But
I should.
he reminded me of Robin Williams' character, and that. What about you?
That's good. Yeah, that because Robin Williams is so like tender and whole and like a big teddy bear. I think for me, like I thought of The Shack. God in The Shack. I don't know her
Oh.
name. She's
I've
super
never.
famous. You've never seen The Shack? You don't want to?
No, I just never got around to it. I don't know. I know.
You will love it. It is a top favorite movie of mine. I bawled throughout the whole movie. And it's funny I say her because Morgan Freeman is also God in many characters. I think of I think of her. God in The Shack. But she also plays like Ma. So then that like ruins it for me, but do you know that one?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Ma?
it's scary.
I can't do scary movies.
Well, I don't do them, but
Oh, Octavia Spencer.
yeah, that movie is terrifying, but she's great in The Shack. Okay, next question. What do you think the significance of the Dala horse was to Tova?
This was a big one for me because I love Dala horses. I always have. Being Scandinavian, living in Minnesota, huge. It's a huge thing for me. I think it symbolized the missing piece of her that, because it was part of a collection.
Yeah.
It was something she didn't realize that she was like missing, or that she even still had in a place that she didn't even know. And it was discovered by Cameron, and I just think that's so sweet.
Yeah. I just got chills there. And I also thought about how like it's like her last piece of her son. She gets to see where he loves her because she saw that he tried to fix it. He tried to fix it. And then I think it's like that innocent part of him she saw also when she saw the snacks. Like, just the pure innocence in a child, like hiding a snack and a broken toy or a broken figurine from your mom. Like, it doesn't get more innocent than that. That was beautiful.
The doll horse was wrapped in one of her mother's old embroidered towels, and it's just pays kind of an homage to, because she was letting go of that house, was letting go of the people that lived there and the people that have moved on in life, and but it was found by the two people in that family that are still there, and I thought that was such a beautiful moment too.
Yeah. She didn't give us like a big plot twist at the end, but she gave us like just a beautiful unfolding. That's how I saw that. And I went up and looked up what a Dala horse means and symbolizes.
I don't know what the meaning is. I just know that I really like them. Like,
courage and strength.
So she found courage and strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And so did he.
Oh, yeah. My last question, a little sombering, but this was in one of the discussion questions I found, and it's really good. Have you made any consideration into what you want your future living arrangements to be?
Oh my gosh. Why are you going here?
Because it's a legitimate question. Like, a big part of the book was about that, and it makes you think, like, ooh, that.
I have. It's just really morbid. And I think being in a place in my life now where I'm living alone again, and being sick and being alone is one of the worst feelings. And I've had that feeling of like, what do I do? Like, what would happen if I died alone? How long would it take for somebody to find me? That's where my brain goes. But as far as living arrangements go, I feel like my hypervigilance and general negativism is telling me you're gonna die alone. So not even that. I don't think that I don't think I want to be in a relationship again for a really, really long time. I'm good on my own. And so, like, I would probably do what Tova did, except I would just give all of my money and all of my inheritance to my nieces and nephew. And I would be so okay with that.
Yeah, your negativity is getting the best of you because you still got a solid 60 plus years of life, and who knows what relationship that can go in. But I could imagine you in like cottage core, like, come on, I can see you in all the quilting clubs and knitting, and
I'm for sure gonna be that weird. I am gonna be that weird church lady that like makes quilts for everybody, and like I'm 100% gonna be that girl, and I can't wait. I was born for that.
Yeah. It's like that TikTok I sent you where the millennials that just skipped our midlife crisis and went straight to quilting. And yeah, I think I would enjoy that. But Matt said he wants us to be on our own as much as possible. But I think it would be cool to then be in a house where you have no worries and you're taken care of, so you can just not have to be stressed about yourself.
Actually, I take that back. I would want to have somebody come and take care of me and like die in my own house, because the thought, like, I've seen those kinds of senior living facilities, and no shade, I'm sure they've changed a lot, but when my grandparents were in them, it was terrifying. Really? Like, there were elderly people like screaming and because they hated it. And there's this really funny story. One of my sister's best friends, his one of his grandparents was in a nursing home, and he must have been, maybe 12 years old, and this woman comes up to him and grabs his hands, and she's like, "Get me out of here."
I didn't know that it's that bad. It made it sound so bougie and cool.
I
Like
mean,
a big spa retreat.
I think that those definitely exist, but elder abuse is a real thing in nursing homes as well. And I mean, you can easily be abused in your own home by somebody taking care of you, but I think my pride is way too high to move somewhere. Like I would want to die wherever like my stuff is, and like
I want to be in Switzerland.
In like the Alps. I could totally see that.
Yeah,
I can see.
I actually don't know what I want.
It was like a braided, like a coronet braid, just like the circle braid around your head. I could totally see that.
Well, let's not see it for a long time.
No. I mean,
no.
By then, people are going to be living until they're 175 years old. So it'll be like Abraham all over again.
Yeah. It was a somber ending, but yeah.
But you know what? I think that she did a really beautiful job of wrapping all of those loose ends up.
Yep.
Cameron came back. All of his relationships were restored. Tova took his resignation letter.
That
and
was,
that
was another little
that
part.
that was a mom move, and that was her looking out for him. Even when did she know then?
Yes, she did.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then, like that was. I think she would have done that anyway, though. Her friends really bothered me. The nitwits. I was like, no.
Yeah, I didn't love them either.
They're proof that you can be friends with somebody for 15, 20 years, and you should have said goodbye to them a long time ago.
Overall, what would you rate the book?
I would rate it a 4.
Me too.
It was not the best book I've ever read, which is normally what I would do with a 5. But a 4 is a really solid rating for me. I would recommend a 4 to a friend.
Exactly. Yeah. Recommend. Still a feel-good book, but not the best book I've ever read. Well, this was a good one, and I hope you guys enjoyed the book and our review, and we'll be back next month for our next book review, so stay tuned for that.
See you then.
Bye.